Kia ora! Sally Ann on the sofa with Gabriel. Good morning.
Morena Sally Ann, good to be here on the Sally Ann show.
I know, right? It's a little bit like that. Candid candidates. Tune in. I'm getting better at that dive in too, I reckon.
Yes.
I need a little superhero cape. Now, tell me why you're standing for election.
Well, it's quite simple. Well, it's not simple actually. I'm currently chair of the Wainuyamata Community Board, and I've decided to take the next step up.
Nice.
And the reason why is I'm really standing to create a more resilient, more inclusive and more thriving hut city. And I mean, that's just really a slogan, but behind that is a lot of kaupapa and a lot of mahi. In terms of resilience, I think that we're looking at that as a twofold thing. Firstly, in terms of fortifying our city against, not the likelihood, but the reality of climate change.
Yes.
Now, protecting and preserving our environment is synonymous with building up our resilience. This is what I've come to learn as a civil defence volunteer, but also my work on the Regional Council's Whaitua Te Whanganui Tara Committee.
Yes.
We were actually reviewing water throughout the Wellington region. And one of the things I've learnt is the Hutt River, for example. Since colonisation, that river has been narrowed over time, and that has
It
really...
used to be a meandering river. I
That's
remember
right.
learning this in primary school, or it might have been college, and
Yes.
it used to go over the whole valley, and we've locked it down. And that's actually one of the things that makes the Wainuyamata River a water of national significance, is because that river is actually very free.
Yes.
There's not a lot of stop banking, so it gets to still breathe and move.
That's right.
And yeah, it's a magical little spot.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's right. So that's really... so a lot of that work, and I know other candidates have mentioned Riverlink, mailing interchange, but a lot of that is part of reclaiming some of that natural floodplain and allowing that river to breathe, especially at those crucial choke points. So that's resilience, and the other one is inclusiveness. So we've got quite a wide range of communities in the hut, and I've come to learn, especially serving a short time on the community board, that it's not just about listening to residents, but also responding and being transparent about the process and being transparent about where we are committing ratepayers' funds. So that's the second thing about being inclusive. And then the third thing is about being a thriving city, and that's just not building a strong economy or housing for all people, but it's also about the well-being of all citizens in Hutt City.
That's beautiful. Honestly, my heart's just going ding, ding, ding. He's saying all the right words. You're very smooth. I'm liking it. I'm liking what you're saying. So, speaking of smooth, do you have a signature dance move?
Actually, I'm not much of a dancer,
Oh,
to be honest, but I'm going to show you, since it's, Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori, I'm going to show you a dance move that...
can we do it sitting down?
We can do it
Oh,
sitting
okay.
down, actually.
All right.
And
I'll put my
I
tongue.
call it, and I'm probably going to get some backlash from my
No,
whānau there,
because
but
we're trying. It's all
yep,
about
but I
trying.
call it the haere mai, and that's just this action here. Okay, if you just take your right hand up, parallel like this, and then your left hand across, and then the haere mai.
Haere mai.
Yeah.
I love it.
So that's the haere mai.
That's your signature dance move.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
That's
Okay.
right.
I love it. Thank
Yeah.
you. Good. I hope you're following along there at home. Now, for you, actually, you've kind of said what you think the number one issues are. We actually might have said three. So maybe we'll move on to, do you have a party trick?
Party trick? No, I mean, so I like to, I've always liked to sort of entertain, the nieces and nephews and, all the little children. So one of the ones is probably, it's really, it's a grandpa trick, really. It's just the disappearing coin, or making
nice.
a coin appear behind their ears. And so, yeah, I think, but they're a bit older now, so I think they've gotten past that.
Oh dear, you
But
might
yeah.
have to develop a new one.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
I'm the worst magician in town, I think, so.
Oh, as long as
Yeah.
you're entertaining the kids, hey?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
Are you aware of the SDGs? And if you are, when you're elected, I'm so adorable, what will you do to implement them?
So I think you're talking about the Sustainable Development Goals from United Nations. I can't list all 17. I think there's 17 of them.
I'm not going to argue with you.
But 5 of them, a couple of them are tackling poverty, tackling, I think it's starvation, and well-being in the community. So there are a number of those that a few of us candidates are running sort of on that platform. How can we respond to those? We can respond to those through affirmative action, through policy making.
Yes.
And of course, you know, there's a lot of technicality to go through that in consultation with the community, but we see now more than ever that the question is, that arises for me is, are we leading a sustainable Lower Hutt? Are we leading a sustainable Wainuiomata or Wellington? And it's sort of, we're all late to the party. We have to admit we're late to the party, but we've got to do something about it. And I think it'll be interesting to see what others have to say. What I have to say is we need to actually start moving on this today. Because my concern is for our tamariki and our mokopuna. You know, will the rivers still be here?
Not if we put rubbish on them. No.
So that's, yeah. So I am aware of those goals, and I'm aware that councils and governments are sort of moving and scuffling to try and put frameworks together to tackle them.
Yes.
But as far as I'm concerned, I mean, we're here just as a community voice. But I think, you know, I remember reading one of your posts, Sally, about, you know, the river having a voice. And that's something that we've talked about on the Whaitoa Committee. And so, you know, Papatuanuku having a voice. We don't even have to say it to the authorities. They already get it.
Well, do they? Some of them don't. This is the problem.
Yeah, so we need to respond.
We do. Yeah.
And to be honest, admittedly, I don't have all the answers.
No.
But we have to work together to find out.
We do. What are 2 top actions that you would take to protect and restore the environment if you were elected, that you are happy to commit to on this sofa?
I'm the sort of person that likes to see what are all the options that are on the table, because it's hard to pick and choose and prioritise when there's so much to do. Two top actions while on council is, one, we need to protect our rivers. Because we're talking about the future of water. We're talking about and part of that, I mean, as a member of the community board, you know, I think you were there on that night. We voted to ask council to advocate to regional council to put a moratorium on the Waihwhiti aquifer.
Yes. And
I think that demonstrates the urgency of yes, there are people interested in or have commercial interest in our water bottling, namely, and so we're a bit concerned about that. So we actually need and we are working on this with the Whaitoa Committee, with councils. We need to work on this, on the government's freshwater policy statement, and we also have the 3 waters review: stormwater, drinking water, wastewater. So I'm sort of saying let's just wait and see what comes out of that review and the recommendations after our consultation with the community.
Yeah, and for those that don't know at home, because we don't all, a moratorium for me is a big fancy word that means a hold or a pause or a stop, and it means a time when we're not going to do anything. So that's basically the mandate that you guys have suggested to council. Right.
So to me, that's the big one, is water. The second one is let's go to pollution, or let's go to waste management. I like the initiative in Auckland City Council, where they have, my understanding is a small amount of contracts for demolition go to some of those Māori Pacific firms and outfits, and what they do is they deconstruct homes, houses, buildings, and they salvage the good material, and they reuse that or recycle it by sending it back home to Tonga or to the islands for rebuilding homes.
Beautiful.
So I think we need to look at how do we actually practice what we preach in terms of reusing and recycling.
Oh, zero waste.
That's right.
Like,
otherwise it's all going to come here to the Wainuiomata River.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. No thanks. Zero waste, that's what we want. Who gets your vote for Bird of the Year?
I'm not sure if anyone said this, but I'm going to vote for the pūkeko.
Oh, controversial.
Yes.
Controversial choice there. Some people love them, some people loathe them.
Well, you see them around Wainuiomata, I think, when you drive through the Parkway extension.
I've had them in my backyard.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, I've seen them down the back, Wainui River's down in our backyard as well, and you see them down in Gracefield, so they are around.
Okay.
Yeah. The kiriru compete for attention, of course.
Well, that one took the title home last year, so he's got to give up his crown this year, maybe to the pukeko, who knows. What specific actions by council do you support to target the climate crisis?
Specific actions by council? You mean actions they've already taken, or actions that I would propose, or?
Let's do what you would propose.
Yeah.
You may have already covered them.
Yeah, I think there are. I mean, there are a lot of measures that council could take in terms of waste and rubbish, and we're seeing. And I just want to applaud the ploggers and all of those down on Petone Beach. You know, I've learnt that they collect about thousands and thousands of kgs of rubbish at a time. In 2 hours, they collect around 7,000 bottle lids, plastic bottle lids. So we actually need to shift the way we manage waste, and there is a lot of kōrero around that right now. So council needs to start implementing something, especially around our coastlines. How do we actually contain that rubbish?
And stop thinking about this. When you look at other councils around the country, we have way too many landfills, or whatever you want to call them. We've got so many. We actually have a lot. And other cities are working on zero waste, and they're working on recycling and, like you said, processing demolition materials on site and things like that. It's got to be a bigger picture than just what does money say. What do we need here to spend the least and make the most? That's not a good point of decision making.
That's right. But one thing I do want to raise is, and it's probably not directly related to climate change, or it could be, is our green reserves in our town centres.
No, it is related, because it's about we're making more hard spaces.
That's right. Yeah. So I think we need to, when we think about protection, well, we need to protect our town green reserves, because for me that's just as important as our New Zealand flag, which flies in Queen Street, is to have the green reserve there, which really is a flag in itself, to say that we are a green community. So
very much so.
It's one thing going around the world and saying, well, 100% green, but we're not practicing that in our own communities.
We're not. And when you think about what earth and grass and the dirt is doing, I mean, it's almost a big sponge or a big siphon. Like, that's where the earth is breathing. That is where under there is our access to our water table, and it's not just an empty space. It's a lot bigger than that. When you start looking at the layers of our ecosystem, what we as humans need to survive, let alone our flora and our fauna, those green spaces, they do us a lot of good.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's for the future generations. We need to preserve that.
100%. Is there a song that you can't resist dancing to?
You make me feel like dancing.
Oh my gosh, that's the perfect answer though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't you think? Like, it actually says what's going to happen.
That's right. So when that comes on the radio, on the breeze.
You're out.
That's it.
Whatever you're doing, you're dancing. Okay, that's beautiful. How do you plan to better involve residents in the decision-making process across our city?
I think we actually, the council needs to do a bit of work in that area, obviously.
You think?
But
it's a brainwave.
They did try this year. So usually we consult on the long-term, the annual plan, and we didn't have that ability. Yes, it was this year, I think. Yes, to actually go out, and usually you go and consult residents. And this year, what they did is they introduced Have Your Say, which is an online forum, and
that cuts out quite a chunk of the population.
Well,
surely.
it does, because not everyone has accessibility or is sort of tech savvy to be able to go online.
Yeah.
So I think we actually need to go back to the drawing board and rework how do we consult, because a lot of communities miss out on this consultation, and so you're getting, bless them, but the same people,
keyboard warriors.
That's right, and they keep feeding back. There are communities out there that we want to listen from that we don't receive feedback from at all. So whether that means a variety of methods or ways to reach out, whether that means public meetings, whether that means actually holding special days or weekends to do that, we actually need to go back to the drawing board and ask, because I don't have all the answers because I'm not in all the communities. What's your best communication method, or how can we best collect your views?
And having more of an open door policy too. I know, for speaking from my own experience, it took us months to even be able to get in the room with some of the decision makers in council, and definitely weeks and weeks of calling, and yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare. So my experience is, and I would suggest an open door policy where you're just easier to sit down with and have that face-to-face korero with.
Yeah. So I did hold, during that time, some community clinics in the library, and people came up and said, we've never seen you guys around.
Wow.
So to get that one-on-one engagement, I thought was really valuable.
Yes.
But then again, there are, as you know, formal processes. So we do have an open door policy with the community board at our regular meetings, which you can find out online.
Wonderful.
And I think you spoke under public comment, so people can bring any issue that they have to council meetings or to community board meetings under public comment. Now, what I've come to appreciate over the past few months is that the community board is actually meant to act as a sort of a buffer between the council reps or the council and community. In other words, perhaps the community boards are more of a check and balance between council and us, the community. And if I look at it in that lens or that way, it sort of really changes my whole perspective on the community board.
Okay.
You know, if you are going to council and not getting what you think is right for the people, be it the Wainuiomata River or the Cleanful issue, then there's that community board there that we can use as a good resource and advocate. Yeah.
Good. Well, I hope we see that going forward.
Yes.
Good. Now, what is your go-to karaoke song? I have heard you sing, so I know that this is going to be a real answer.
Oh, well, I mean, we had karaoke the other night, karaoke at my uncle's 60th birthday, and I think I must have sung Sway.
Oh, really?
Yes. I mean, I just sing what comes to what we can find, but yeah, that's what we sing. And that's when he had his special sort of, he danced with his wife, my auntie, and that was the dancing song. Yeah.
That's pretty special. I love it.
Yeah.
So do you think maybe one of the candidates and I spoke about maybe lip sync battle or maybe a karaoke off at future council meetings? Maybe we could open and close with a song. That might be quite nice.
Yeah, well, it is tikanga Māori to do that, so...
Well, I've just come back from visiting family in Samoa,
yes.
And one of the things I really enjoyed was the singing and dancing. That was beautiful.
Yes.
Because it's such a joyful way to connect as a community.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, some of you out there might know that I am passionate about music as a sort of classically trained tenor, and that's and so really the arts, in the city is something I'm passionate about as well. I used to serve on the Arts and Culture Advisory Panel, I think they used to call it, or advisory group. But when I reflect upon when I was first elected to the community board in 2016, and all the new members were there, and all of our whānau, and of course you had Cece was there, and her whānau sang a Samoan song, and then my whānau sang a Māori waiata, and it's sort of what it does is that it sort of brings communities together. Unity.
It creates unity.
So maybe we need to compose our own sort of local anthem or something. I'm not sure.
This magic happens on this sofa. I think this is a brilliant idea. Okay, well, I think we're going to leave you to lead the charge on that. I think you've just accidentally made a declaration of your intent.
Yeah. So, we can work with. I'm sure that there's a lot of young people that can put their hands up for that too.
And we could have a few different varieties. You know, maybe there's a country element, a rock element, a classical element.
Yes.
You know, there could be some different things happening in different verses. Anyway, I'll leave that to the experts. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Gabriel, for coming along. This has really meant a lot to get to have this korero with you. I am going to ask you all to please donate to protect Wainui Mata River. That is on a Give a Little page. That is what that's what's motivated me to get to know our candidates a little bit more here on the sofa. So if you're enjoying watching, I would love it if you would do that to help our cause. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. There will be more of these. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Kia ora.